Spurs and 7 straight wins overall for San Antonio. The Spurs on that rodeo road trip. It comes every year at this time when the rodeo comes to San Antonio. It's worth 8 games this year as Carter attacks and gets the Nets pointed in the right direction.
Something's got to give here with both teams on impressive winning streaks. Jim, San Antonio's also won 11 out of 12 overall. Good to see Tim Duncan back in the lineup. We'll have to see how sharp, how fresh, and how he is able to endure the length of this game.
Bruce Bowen doesn't look to score often, but remember, from three-point range, he's the second best shooter in the league from there.
Out in front, Kidd and Parker.
Here's Carter again, this time over Duncan closing as Nesterovic corrals the rebound.
Duncan is the difference in these two teams. If New Jersey can get any sort of front court defensive production. Remember, they're playing without Jason Collins tonight, out with an injury. Beautiful.
Nice. Ginobili to Nesterovic. You talked about San Antonio having won 11 out of 12. You would think, well, with a streak like that, they'd be running away with things in the Southwest Division. But the Dallas Mavericks playing tonight, looking for their 14th win in a row, have the lead in the Southwest.
Dallas is pulling away from San Antonio. San Antonio's won 11 of 12. They're for real, the Mavericks. Since Jerry Stackhouse's return, they're 20-3.
Tony Parker getting through on the base, but he stepped out of bounds, so the Nets have it. New Jersey overall with a better than 500 record at 26-21 for Lawrence Frank, and on top of the Atlantic Division.
Lawrence Frank, the youngest head coach in the entire NBA. But things to look for tonight, the point guard matchup, Jason Kidd versus Tony Parker. You've got nobody to guard Duncan with Jason Collins out of the lineup tonight. And then this matchup between Vince Carter and Bruce Bowen, to say nothing of Richard Jefferson, Manu Ginobili. Two of the NBA's elite teams head-to-head on Friday night.
Lawrence Frank said the whole key for them in defending San Antonio is to defend the paint. In other words, keep the penetrations down from Parker and keep the scoring production down from Duncan in the post. And a foul called on Jefferson. Offensive foul on Richard Jefferson.
Tough call on RJ, driving away from the basket, and they called for an offensive foul. Sort of leads in right there. Manu Ginobili is a little bit behind that play. There is establishing himself as a much better defender coming into the NBA now.
Parker with 12 to shoot, driving on Kidd, and that's what Tony Parker does so well.
And Jimmy's doing that in the face of one of history's great defensive point guards. Jason Kidd is bigger, stronger, more physically gifted, and yet Tony Parker just took him to school.
There's also been some talk that perhaps Kidd felt he deserved an all-star invitation, and Vince Carter scoring. That's his second field goal to bring the Nets within 2. And the reputation that Kidd has ever since he came into the league is that if he feels like perhaps he's been slighted in some area, Parker 2 in a row. Kidd is going to come up with a big game also.
And Jim, we have witnessed ourselves personally those opportunities for Jason Kidd. He's such an emotional guy. You know, he's not a classic basketball player. He's a guy that thinks that the game is life itself. New Jersey, sharp in their offensive execution. They're going to need to beat if they can play some sort of defense. They've got a real chance tonight to continue that long home court winning streak.
Kidd with the rebound on the Duncan miss, and so the Nets with a chance to tie.
Jason Kidd's three-point shot has been very accurate of late. One in each of the last 20 games, which is a very long streak for his standards.
Kristich with 8 on the shot clock, working on Nesterovic. Nesterovic a block, and Nesterovic another block. So with 4 on the shot clock, the Nets will throw in.
Jim, generally when you get roofed like that, you think about sending it to somebody else, not to try to come back and get.
I've never heard it quite put that way. Roofed, is it? Bowen the rebound. Lost control, and Carter attacking the rim.
And little CJ sitting right next to me in his Vince Carter jersey and his Vince Carter game cap and everything. He is fired up as can be here at Continental Airlines Arena.
6 points for Carter as the Nets have now scored the last 4. Parker. Missed tip Duncan. Followed up Ginobili.
And Lawrence Frank can only say, will somebody please get a rebound?
That time he would have taken anybody boxing out.
That's the simplest rebound there is. A shot from the far side and a rebound on the long side.
Kristich from Kidd.
Outstanding basketball early on here. The pace, brilliant. The execution, sharp as can be. Individual talent, exquisite.
3 for Ginobili.
But as Greg Popovich told us, Lawrence Frank taking a timeout here. Manu Ginobili has become the X factor.
Who hammers it down. And here's a look at what he has done against various teams. And against the Spurs, he has the fewest points per game versus the Spurs versus any other opponent in his career. But he off to a good start tonight. And he has his team unfortunately down by 3, but it's still in the very early going, about midway through the first quarter. Tonight, Carter with 6 of the 10 points for the Nets. Let's get back out to Continental Airlines Arena.
It was a tough pass. Kicks away from Carter. Didn't really see it coming. And the Spurs looking to extend on the lead. The veteran Robert Horry in the lineup now for San Antonio, replacing Duncan.
Well, history has been made here.
Ginobili trying to hand it off in close quarters. The Nets a steal, but Jefferson is overthrown by Carter.
Talk about history. On this date, 54 years ago, the old Baltimore Bullets, they played an entire NBA game without making a single substitution, making John Wooden so proud. So with Robert Horry, that substitution by Greg Popovich, now the Baltimore Bullets remain in the record book.
A foul called here on Manu Ginobili, offensive. Well, but Bill, we must say that, when was this, 54 years ago?
Yeah, in 1952, February 10th, 1952.
This is not the Wizards that we're talking about. This was a different franchise completely.
Right, the Baltimore Bullets, they beat the Fort Wayne Pistons 82-77 with only 5 players. I was not there that night.
Meanwhile, back in the Meadowlands, Carter hit the bottom of the rim.
Nesterovich's team defense has been superb in the early going.
How about Horry for 3? Robert Horry, of course, with a legendary three-point barrage. Cliff Robinson missing for 3.
Robert Horry, 35 years old.
When the game is on the line and in the playoffs. Parker got too far under as well. Thought he was fouled.
Hard to see how that's not a foul unless you had a better angle, which the referees obviously did.
He was obviously roofed by the rim at that time. Here goes Parker.
Well, now Parker's stuck over there, and they let him out of the trap.
Whoops. Ginobili missing there. Getting stuck on this 13-10 score for a while inside of 5 minutes for the quarter. Jefferson.
Nesterovic again. He's always there. Has not been picking up the silly, careless fouls. Been keeping every block or tip ball in play so that San Antonio can get out in transition.
Tonight's game featuring a scoreless drought now for 2 minutes as Parker gets to the rim. Tony Parker with his 3rd layup.
Talking with Tony before the game, that was one of the real thrills of my life. This guy is so fired up about making the All-Star game. Oh, what a pass by Vince Carter.
And Kristich scores to give Carter a nifty assist.
Showing once again, backing up that graphic that we had just recently with Vince Carter, 6 assists per game. For a guy who has that many scoring responsibilities, that's outstanding.
Lawrence Frank was telling us before the game that was one of the surprise things about Carter to him when he came here about a year ago, is that he actually is the 2nd best passer on the team to Jason Kidd. Rasho, he's been doing it at the defensive end and now he's got 2 hoops to go with it.
He's such a reluctant star. Not that he's ever going to make the All-Star team or be on the cover of the magazines or anything, but this guy is a critical element of the Spurs championship attack.
Kristich leaves it for Robinson. 8 to shoot for Jefferson. Jefferson fouled by Nesterovic.
Tony Parker, how do you keep him out of the paint? You know he's going to score. He's number 5 in the NBA at points in the paint. And while everybody knows that and everybody talks about what you're going to do to slow him down, nobody can actually do it. And that's where the creativity is responsible for making basketball the perfect.
Michael Finley has checked in, as you see. Greg Popovich talking to Tony Parker, and Jacques Vaughn, the veteran backup at the point, replaces Jason Kidd. Now my question is, Tim Duncan went out almost right away. He's coming back, trying to play tonight he had flu-like symptoms, missed the overtime game in Toronto on Wednesday. And as you see him across the way, he's got the jacket on, he's all bundled up over there. I'm wondering how available he's going to be for this team tonight.
But Popovich has changed the rotation, taking Duncan out earlier, trying to do what Jerry Sloan did for years with John Stockton, try to manage the long-term career possibilities and potential for Tim Duncan.
Parker flips it back to Ori against the shot clock. And Parker with an offensive rebound.
Now pull it all the way back out because so many, Bruce Bowen and Greg Popovich trying to take a timeout right here.
Still maybe suffering some effects of that flu that caused him to miss Wednesday's win over the Raptors. Let's head back out to Jim Durham in Bill Walton.
Nazim Muhammad comes in. Excuse me. That's not Nazim Muhammad. That's Michael Finley over there.
10 on the shot clock for Finley. Now Duncan through a crowd. Offensive follow won't go, but I guess it did hit the rim as the Spurs get a fresh 24.
I'm a big proponent that should be reset to 14 instead of the full 24 on offensive rebound.
Why? You've worked hard for that offensive rebound.
Yes, but
you've done everything right.
But the extra 10 seconds are to get the ball up over the half-court line. That's the reason for the 24-second shot clock. And since they changed the rule to 8 seconds, you've got a 10 seconds. How about a rule that lowers the shot clock down to 22? Just a thought, Jim. You know, in the idle time.
Sort of like he's been roofed. I like that. Parker. Finley with 8 to shoot. Against Carter. Jefferson the rebound, and the Nets have a crack at the lead.
For the first time in Michael Finley's career, he's really concentrating more on defense and rebounding than he is on scoring points. And his game has changed, and I think suffered because of that.
Around the horn, the Nets go. Intended for Kristich, intended for Paget, and out of bounds over there. 5 turnovers for New Jersey already. The veteran Nick Van Exel, he's had some injury problems. He's on for San Antonio.
But San Antonio has not been able to capitalize. They only have 2 points off those 5 turnovers so far. We'll see what happens on this possession. Please catch the ball, Scott Paget. You're a better player than that.
Picks up a foul trying to defend Ori off the ball. First foul on Paget.
Interesting, Jim, in that with the 5 turnovers, they're still in this game. San Antonio shooting 50%, controlling the backboards. Duncan and Ori have been wildly off on the offensive end. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili have really been the guys who have made it happen for Greg Popovich, the NBA champs.
And Wright, Antoine Wright, into the lineup, replacing Carter. Wright is the rookie guard of the Nets. 15th pick taken in the NBA draft from Texas A&M. We are ready to resume. We are, and Finley will throw in. 15 to shoot. Van Exel guarded by Vaughn. Paget out on Ori. Ginobili with 4 on the clock.
Guard play. It's been San Antonio, their realm of as of now.
13 points between them.
Jason Kidd has not done much. Vince Carter did a nice job, but he's sitting out right now there. Richard Jefferson trying to post up. They can't even get him the ball.
There's Jefferson. 3 to shoot for Vaughn. Padgett had it blocked, taken out of the air by Van Exel. He had changed possession before the buzzer went off. Van Exel looking at a 2-for-1 right down the pipe with that 3.
And Exel coming right off that bench. Hasn't been playing much, just a couple minutes a game over the last 10 days or so with a very sore left elbow. You see the sleeve or pad, the neoprene on that to try to keep it warm. Have to keep our eye on that and see if he can continue playing and performing.
San Antonio can take a foul here. 8 to shoot. Better than 5 difference. Jefferson with 3 on the clock. Padgett inside. Spurs have it with 3 seconds, and here comes Van Exel again. An even deeper 3 attempt.
That was beautiful basketball by San Antonio throughout the quarter. Some droughts by New Jersey and some poor decision-making down the stretch in the closing moments of that first quarter. You got to have shooters with the ball.
And Tony Parker getting the Spurs off offensively tonight. And Vince Carter.
First quarter is complete in New Jersey. Nets trailing the defending champion Spurs 22-16. It's the largest lead of the game so far. San Antonio has controlled it right from the outset, but hasn't been able to get up by more than those 3 hoops. San Antonio shot 43% in the first quarter to 39% for New Jersey. Here's a look at the road trip the Spurs are on, because the rodeo is taking over their home arena. They won the first 4 games at Utah, at Portland, at Golden State, and then Wednesday at Toronto. Today it's the Nets. It'll continue in Indiana, Cleveland, and then finish up next Wednesday against the 76ers, a game you can see right here on ESPN. Ready to get the second quarter started. It is the Spurs with a 6-point lead in the basketball.
Thrill and challenge to play against Daryl Dawkins. What a post-entry pass by Nesterovic.
And it's Vince Carter on the block, but it's a goaltend. Tim Duncan credited with his first basket.
Jim, this game was tied at 10. Since then, it's been a 14-6 run for San Antonio. And they've been taking a ton of three-point shots in that run.
Carter on a 3.
Normally, San Antonio takes about 15 threes a game. They've already tried 7 in just the first quarter alone, going 2 for that 7.
7 straight points for San Antonio. The Nets a steal. Kidd in transition.
But with Jacques Vaughn being unable to convert on the offensive end, it makes it tough for Jason Kidd.
This is Carter against Ginobili. Blocked by Duncan. Recovered by Kidd. And the Spurs a steal.
And what was it that Coach Lawrence Frank told us throughout our meeting before the game? The length of San Antonio. They're just too big.
Ball tapped out to Finley. Ginobili lines up a 3. He's been way off with his last 2. But he has 1 hit from 3. And the Spurs enjoying an 8-point lead.
But the breaks in the game and how different it would be if Manu Ginobili had been healthy this year and missed 13 games already. But if he had been healthy, he would be a certainty for the All-Star game. Here, turnover there.
Called a foul on Finley. Oh, it's on Rasho. Rasho Nesterovic picking up his second.
But our congratulations to Clifford Robinson, who tonight ties Mark Jackson for 10th all-time in the NBA in games played. Mark Jackson tonight here as part of the Nets broadcasting team. Duncan again for Nesterovic making a miss.
There's Cliff Robinson with the rebound and putback. The first 2 points for Robinson as we see Mark Jackson working the game, as you mentioned, over there for the Nets.
Second all-time Mark Jackson is an NBA assist to a Hall of Famer, John Stockton.
Here's Ginobili. A pitch out to Finley. Cleared by Kidd. 2 minutes having been played in the second quarter. Kidd pulls up for 3. Around and down for Jason Kidd.
in the Southwest Division. The Mavs with a half-game lead over San Antonio. Right now, those Spurs up 3 in the second quarter against New Jersey. Let's get back out to Jim Durham and Bill Walton.
What's that field goal percentage? He's been first or second in the league throughout much of the season in field goal percentage, leading us to the question of name the last point guard, if it ever happened, that led the NBA in field goal percentage. With 2 to shoot, Ginobili misses badly. He's missed 3 threes and hasn't hit the rim on any of them, but he did hit one earlier in the game.
And he's been trying to duplicate that ever since, but to see Tony Parker in that relationship with his dad, and how special that is. Tony Sr., who played at Loyola of Chicago before playing overseas for a number of years.
Robinson with 8 on the clock. Kidd defended by Van Exel. It's a foul. Count the basket. Is it a 3? It's a 3 for Kidd and a chance at a 4-point play.
Well, we're going to have to see how Jason Kidd was able to elude the defense of Nick Van Exel there. Greg Popovich is upset as can be. He changes his pivot foot there. I'm not sure you can count that play if you have traveling in the rule book still, which I'm assuming they still do. Right?
It's a 2-point field goal for a Kidd and a tie ball game. Finley. Van Exel lines up a 3. Jefferson the rebound. Here come the Nets. Looking to get the lead. Carter.
Vince Carter, Jason Kidd finally says, "Oh."
What a fastball that was across the court to Jefferson.
But Jason Kidd says to Lawrence Frank, "Hey, finally, you get me Richard Jefferson and Vince Carter back on the wings." This is not a real deep New Jersey team.
Tim Duncan with 9 to shoot, guarded by Robinson. That's Sean Marks hustling for the rebound.
Offensive rebound. 7 on the night for the NBA champion. Tim Duncan just 1 for 6. So, Jim, your point about Tim Duncan not being sharp, playing out tonight.
Well, it's going to be out of bounds to San Antonio with a fresh 24. Spurs have cooled off in this second quarter considerably. And a lot of these shots coming from the perimeter. Finley trying to work his way inside, and Michael Finley is called for an offensive foul.
He just tried to pull his way through. Greg Popovich realizing the call's going against him right now. Padgett does a very nice job of sliding his feet and keep moving back, knowing full well that Finley has no place to go with that ball other than just lower his shoulder and try to pull his way to the hoop.
Bowen defending up on Vince Carter. Carter around a pick by Robinson, and a foul on Bowen trying to get through that screen. First foul on Bowen. Tony Parker returning for San Antonio.
Bowen and Vince Carter have gone head-to-head 18 times in their career. Vince Carter has a 21.8 career average, but he's been held below 20 points in 6 of the last 8 matchups. Bowen is outstanding.
But Carter having a pretty good first half. 8 points scored tonight. 10 straight.
San Antonio, they have to be concerned. Oh, beautiful pass.
That concern has to lessen somewhat after that play.
But the concern is that San Antonio is playing, I think, significantly better. But New Jersey, they're right there. And had the lead until the last possession.
That's Carter again.
And this guy, Vince Carter, is now on a roll.
10 points for Carter.
Jim, in the games that we've seen him do this year, at Cleveland, at Miami, just monster performances, 38-51. Oh, Michael Finley quiets this raucous crowd.
With a 3-point field goal, Finley with his first points as the Spurs go back up by 1.
And Greg Popovich should be very concerned about the number of 3-point shots.
Carter against Bowen. Nice handoff to Kristich.
And Vince Carter's perimeter jumper is going. that's what you give up, because you have to tighten up on him on the perimeter. Then he gets down the lane. He can set up guys who are not going to score by themselves.
Finley again on a three. And the Nets bring it back, trying to extend on a 1-point lead. Kidd.
Duncan sent
Knocked
that
away
one
by Duncan, back to Kidd. Robinson lost it off the dribble.
Now that's the kind of outlet Jason Kidd would love to get.
What a pass from Parker to Finley.
This, by the way, Jim, is a great basketball. We've seen a lot of outstanding end-to-end action. They're trying to call timeout. And Carter almost gave...
The best record in the NBA, of course, belongs to the Detroit Pistons. Let's get back out to Continental Airlines Arena.
To put on this puzzle. Tough shot. Richard Jefferson trying to earn a trip to the foul line. But, Jim, are you old enough to remember when everybody thought that Detroit was just going to run away with the regular season this year?
Am I old enough? I believe I am. Tony Parker has 10. And he has had an all-star-like performance here in this first half tonight.
Home court is going to be critical this year, particularly out in the West, where Dallas right now has that slight lead over the NBA champs, Kristich. Because remember,
that's 10 for Kristich.
Jim, in the last 10 years in the Western Conference, 6 times the number 1 team has gone all the way to the finals. 3 times the number 2 team has. And the only time that didn't happen was when the Lakers were already 2-time defending champions. Another offensive rebound for the Spurs.
Kristich clears, though, and the Nets have a chance to get the lead this trip. Robinson, 15 to shoot. Jefferson, guarded by Finley.
Oh, backdoor.
Robinson and Finley read it beautifully to knock it loose. San Antonio the ball. Spurs nursing the 1-point lead. They've been up by as many as 8.
Richard Jefferson looks at referee Gary Zielinski and says, what about the grab on the back door? Thank you for the save on the Gary Zielinski there.
10 on the shot clock for the Spurs to come in.
There's Gary.
Parker makes the inbounds to Finley. Tony Parker with 4 on the clock. Again, off penetration, blocked by Kristich. Here come the Nets. Jefferson. Fouled by Bowen from behind. 2 fouls on Bowen.
Richard Jefferson's second trip to the free throw line tonight. Richard Jefferson, one of the 3 key players with the huge contracts here in New Jersey, which makes it difficult. New Jersey has the 9th highest payroll in the league, significantly above the salary cap in the low $50 million range. But they're at $66 million.
Well, we have a moment. Tomorrow, Golden State at Cleveland on NBA TV at 7:30. Then Sunday on ABC, the Spurs are at Indiana or Philadelphia at Washington, followed by the Pistons at Miami. Coverage starts at 12:30. TNT doubleheader Thursday next week. Philadelphia at Chicago, followed by Houston at Phoenix. Coverage starts at 7.
Looking forward to seeing Jasikevich's and Danny Granger, new entrants into the NBA, over for Larry Bird in Indianapolis as they retool after losing Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest.
You know, looking at the standings today, the Pacers, I believe, running 5th in the East.
Right.
I don't know how they do it. When you think about all the disruption, that's Finley against the shot clock. He didn't hit the rim. Out of bounds to New Jersey with 3:39 left. I don't know how they stay in contention.
Stability of the franchise.
The Artest issue, the injuries that they've had. Now, as you mentioned, Jermaine O'Neal being out.
But they have everything in place other than great players. And that's able to get you to a certain level. They got fabulous owners of the Simon family. You got Donnie Walsh, you got Larry Bird, Rick Carlisle, fans, an arena.
Now they got 3 on the shot clock for the Nets. Carter trying to shake Bowen.
Oh,
Vince Carter. He's got 12 as the Nets have taken a 3-point lead.
Vince Carter has carried this team on the offensive end with bailout performances. Jason Kidd had a couple of threes, some nice offensive forays, but he hasn't had control as Tony Parker has dominated the point position tonight.
Bowen finds Finley. Kristich, the Nets rebound.
Finally, a defensive rebounding presence for New Jersey. Lawrence Frank's going to pull his hair out over there.
Nets have shot 57% in the quarter, and add to that by Kristich. 12 points for Kristich,
who's made 6 of his 8 shots from the field. For now, we get you back to Continental Airlines Arena. 2.5 minutes to play in the first half.
You have Tony torching guys for another layup, but also admiring Eva at the Screen Actors Guild Awards recently. January 29th, he was able to get there. Greg Popovich gave him the day off. How nice. And what a picture. Oh, my.
So the Nets with a 5-point lead and the ball as Kidd works against Parker. Robinson guarded by Duncan on the perimeter. And now Carter attacking on Bowen. Sends it out to Kidd. Robinson for 3. Nazim Muhammad, the San Antonio rebound.
Nets on an 8-0 run right now, extending to the biggest lead of the game. They're shooting 60%, New Jersey is, in this quarter alone.
It's the biggest lead for New Jersey. There's been a 13-point swing in this first half. Manu Ginobili with a pitch out, and it's Bowen for 3. Muhammad, the offensive rebound, and finally lays it in.
Bruce Bowen, who just missed that three-pointer, second in the NBA in three-point percentage behind Andres Nauciones from Chicago. And surprisingly, neither one of those guys got invited. What a pass by Vince Carter.
Usually that works the other way. It's Kidd on the layup. Jason Kidd with 8.
But neither Nauciones or Bowen were invited to the All-Star three-point shootout. Go figure. They're the top 2 shooters in the league.
You're right there. Bruce Bowen shooting .453 coming in tonight. Parker taking the clock down to the minute mark. Muhammad, and a foul call on Kristich reaching in on Nazim Muhammad. And Kristich with his first. And the first in the last 2 minutes.
If you're New Jersey, you got a nice lead right now, but concentrate on 2 different things. Number 1, slow down Tony Parker if you can. He's having a monster game. Number 2, get on the defensive backboards. How can you consider yourself an elite championship contender if you can't get the ball in defensive rebounds?
Parker goes through and sends it out to Ginobili. Manu gets the roll. Ginobili's been quiet for a while.
All those 3 air balls, you'd hope he would stop shooting a little bit.
San Antonio had a 4-minute scoring drought. Wiped out a moment ago. Kristich inside, and it's cleared by Bowen. 30 seconds left.
Vince Carter is playing at such a higher level than any of his teammates right now. He has to watch out not to get too frustrated right now.
Tony Parker taking the shot clock down. 10 to shoot. Better than 9 difference. High screen roll with Duncan. And Parker lost it going in. Here comes Jefferson. He's got plenty of time. Goes strong to the rim. Richard Jefferson with his second basket. New Jersey has equaled its largest lead with 8.7 left in the half.
And they're developing a great home court advantage here with the atmosphere at Continental Airlines.
Ginobili has it blocked, but a foul will get him on the line to shoot the first free throws of the game for San Antonio.
And they've been driving to the hoop
right,
and pounding the offensive glass, and yet this is still their first free throw.
San Antonio as a team, not a real good free throw shooting club. Ginobili at 77%. Coming up at the half, the Toyota halftime show. First half analysis. Turmoil in Miami with the Heat and the A-list.
No, turmoil in Miami?
List.
Shaq, Pat Riley, how could there be problems there? Living on the beach in South Florida? I don't understand.
And the Nets go only 20 seconds.
1.2. Here's Kidd. And it would have been late anyway.
So close.
You were right early on, Bill. You said we got a good one tonight.
Outstanding basketball throughout. What a game.
An 8-point lead at one time for the defending NBA champion Spurs. But right now, it's the Nets enjoying a 3-point lead at 42.
So the Nets with the lead at getting ready to start the third quarter in New Jersey. Tim Duncan not feeling so great tonight, I guess. 1 for 6 from the field. And his Spurs find themselves down by 3 at the hands of the Nets in New Jersey. Back out to Jim Durham and Bill Walton.
Attempts is way too many. Neither team shooting it very well. Bench scoring, all Spurs. And when Lawrence Frank, the youngest coach in the NBA, has to go to his bench, things did not go well.
He had to go to his bench to start out tonight. Jason Collins unable to go with a thigh contusion. And Cliff Robinson had to move into that starting lineup. So he has one of his members off the bench in his starting 5. But the Nets get a stop the first trip, and so now they have a chance to extend. Jefferson. Here comes Parker.
Lawrence Frank will live with that. The assertiveness on the offensive end. Take it right to him and try to establish yourself how this game will be played in the final 24 minutes.
That's a 3 by Ginobili, his second 3-point hit tonight.
I don't think he's hit the rim on any of his 5 three-pointers. I mean, he's got 2 makes and 3 air balls. What's up with that?
The only shots he's missed tonight.
They've all been air balls.
Here goes Jefferson in on Ginobili, and Duncan picks it off.
That's why you don't jump to pass.
Parker puts the Spurs back in front.
Vince Carter looked like he was trying to take a foul. Parker making his greatest impersonation of Jerome Bettis or Franco Harris or Larry Zonka. One of those guys. Maybe Keith Lincoln even.
I know this. Coach Pop says he goes to the rim and finishes better than anybody since Rod Strickland.
And that's a strong statement because Rod Strickland, one of this game's great players.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say he goes to the rim and finishes even better than Rod Strickland. Tim Duncan with his second basket.
But the problem with that, Jim, is that we all think of Rod Strickland at the end of his career. Go back to the beginning.
Middle Airlines Arena, Tim Duncan and the Spurs with 7 straight points to start the second half. And they're on top by 4. San Antonio has defeated New Jersey 6 in a row head-to-head.
And the difference, Tim Duncan. That basket right there by Timmy, that was his first field goal since there was 11 minutes and 49 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
Robinson is opened up on the penetration by Carter.
Imagine how this opening segue here would be different if Richard Jefferson's throwdown dunk would have gone down or earned himself a trip to the foul line.
Duncan against Robinson. Bruce Bowen, left-handed off the glass.
Bruce Bowen, who has built himself into a real player in all aspects of it. Came in really as a specialist, as a marginal player, but now in all those championships.
That's Kristich on the miss. Duncan rebounding it out, letting to Ginobili.
Starovich making his presence felt one more time. Doesn't get any statistical recognition, but still able to ignite a fast break opportunity.
Here come the Nets. Down by 4. They led by 5 late in the first half and led by 3 at the half. Kristich against Duncan, who knocked it loose.
Inability to control the offensive paint. What a pass attempt by Ginobili. Kristich able to poke it away.
And now Jefferson at the other end, fouled on the way to the hoop. The foul is on Starovich, and Richard Jefferson shoots 2. That's 3 fouls on Rasho.
Bowen down the lane. You've got to close out better. This is a guy who's not really looking to shoot. Throws up a wild runner with his left hand.
Bowen has the distinction as of the moment of having scored the first and last baskets of the game to this point.
Wow.
Remember about 3 hours ago he started the game with that field goal? Jefferson. One more coming.
I'm barely old enough to remember that, Jim, the start of this game.
Richard Jefferson in a 9-game stretch in which he's played almost 43 minutes a night. A scoring average of almost 24 per game. Makes it a 3-point San Antonio lead.
What Richard Jefferson really does is he allows the other stars on this team to play their game. I'd like to see him handle the ball a little more. This looks like a zone defense here by New Jersey.
Ginobili splits it. Manu Ginobili 16 in the game, 5 in the third.
If you're going to double team with the zone defense, you've got to get your feet together with your teammates so that the penetrator, Ginobili, can't just split it and get down the lane with no regard.
Kidd with 8 to shoot.
Oh, my God.
Carter on the miss, Bowen the rebound, and here comes Parker.
When was the last time he practiced that shot? He was like shot out of a cannon backwards.
Tony Parker unable to deliver the shot. And here goes Jefferson in on Ginobili. And an offensive foul on Jefferson.
Offensive foul on Richard Jefferson.
2 fouls on Jefferson.
Lawrence Frank cannot believe it. You would think that Richard Jefferson would be able to get by, but that looks like a good call. I like that call. Generally, when you have the ability, physical resources that Richard Jefferson has, you should be able to get by a lone defender, even if it's Manu Ginobili.
Duncan draws the double team. Parker from the outside. Here's Carter. Picked up by Bowen.
Vince only has the one impressive throwdown tonight. It kept him unchecked in transition.
And again, he's roofed going to the hoop.
Right. And with Vince not taking a single free throw, Greg Popovich has to be very happy, although you couldn't tell that by looking at him.
You know, the San Antonio Spurs, the Pistons, all the great defensive teams in the league, Bill, they can shut you down for long stretches at a time, and this is the way they've opened up this third quarter.
The clamp, the tourniquet.
Carter had it knocked loose. Stumbles to control it, and in the meantime, the shot clock goes off.
And what makes them great defensively is their selflessness. Nets have 4 turnovers this quarter alone.
And they're forced.
Yes, well, they're trying to go through too many people. They're not just making simple, crisp passes. But the way that San Antonio plays their team defense, everybody knows their role.
Oh, that's Duncan. 4 of his 6 points here in the third. And the Spurs now have a 7-point advantage. 8 points was their biggest lead in the first half.
And they're forcing New Jersey to play half-court offensive set basketball, not the strength of their game.
Carter missing.
Well, particularly when Vince is not draining them from the perimeter.
Cliff Robinson against Duncan. Leaves it for Carter.
They're making him work too hard by himself.
Carter gets all the way inside for a spectacular finish.
It was like, to heck with my outside shot. It's not going down. I'll get to the hoop even if they've got 5 guys guarding me. They swing past Roger up top.
Bowen on the miss. Carter the rebound. Vince Carter with 14 points tonight. 2 in the third.
Where would New Jersey be without Vince Carter?
Robinson missing the 3, but Kidd sets it up to Jefferson on the backdoor play, and they pass.
Failing at the hands of the defending champion Spurs. Here's Jim Durham and Bill Walton.
Jefferson, who has missed the last 3 games against San Antonio. In fact, this is the first time that the big 3, Kidd, Jefferson, and Carter, have ever played together against the NBA champs.
We asked Lawrence Frank basically that same question. We said, now, comparing this team to the one that went to the finals 2 years in a row, your big 3 is better. And he said, well, yeah, we didn't really have a big 3 with that group. But he felt that team was deeper than this one. But still, the fact remains, as Richard Jefferson said, they have wins over the top teams in the East.
They will most likely win the Atlantic Division, which will give them either the 2nd or 3rd spot. Now, if they get home court advantage against Miami, which pounded New Jersey a year ago, Richard Jefferson not a factor due to the broken wrist. But Miami, they seem intent this year on playing just 10 days of good basketball at the end of May to get all the way to the NBA Finals. That's a tough way to win.
Duncan on the miss, Kidd on the rebound, and now the Nets with a chance to cut it to 1 or tie with a long one. Kidd being defended by Parker.
San Antonio's transition defense has been nothing short of sensational tonight. You're talking about a great fast-breaking team, New Jersey.
And a loose ball foul on Nesterovic. as he and Kristich went for the rebound, and Rasho has 4.
Personal foul. Team second in the third quarter.
Robert Horry coming in, and so is Nazir Muhammad. So Duncan and Nesterovic are going out.
Number 2, Nazir Muhammad.
And in an age, an era of NBA basketball with salary cap limitations, with expansion, how many teams can look at San Antonio's complete roster and say, yeah, we can go head-to-head with each one of these guys? Bruce Bowen calling for help on Vince Carter. Parker has to foul him.
Tony Parker with his first. But you're right. I mean, here's Pop in a situation where one of his big guys has just gotten into foul trouble. Most teams then would have had to switch. You know, to have Horry coming in for Duncan, right? He would have had to switch and bring Horry in. But Pop can say, Nazi, you know, he can bring yet another guy on.
And he can also bring Sean Marks in, who's been playing very well of late. You know, I'm a little stunned. You're the first broadcaster that I've ever worked with in 16 years that said, Bill, you're right.
I believe it's also the first time for me. 4:04 for the third, so the call gets changed and the Nets have it in play.
We'll continue with the shot clock here.
Carter, nice feed to Kristich. He wouldn't go, and Kristich will have 2 free throws coming.
Watch the fundamental skill, ability, mindset of the San Antonio defense. Whenever Vince Carter gets a hair breadth of opening, they just collapse on him, and then they get in front of him. They don't reach, they don't lean. Team fouls here, significantly working against San Antonio. The road team, which has not lost a single time on this road trip, which is now in its 5th game.
Don't forget, tomorrow on NBA TV, Golden State at Cleveland at 7:30. Then Sunday on ABC, the Spurs against the Pacers in Indiana, or Philadelphia at Washington, followed by the Pistons at Miami. Coverage starts at 12:30. TNT doubleheader Thursday, Philadelphia at Chicago, followed by Houston at Phoenix, starting at 7.
That Miami-Detroit game Sunday afternoon, Jim, following our Indiana-San Antonio game. That will be a thriller to see if the Heat will respond to the challenge that Pat Riley has given them.
This is why we watch. Nazir Muhammad.
Bringing guys in who can knock down perimeter jumpers. I mean, we've seen the depth of San Antonio, and Lawrence Frank will say, hey, why can't my guys do that? My guys are wide open out there.
Carter. Get on the rebound, tapped out of bounds by the Nets.
But did you see Robert Horry play the defense on Vince Carter coming down there? Didn't give him a chance to explode. Robert Horry, in infraction, they have no team fouls, while already San Antonio over the limit.
As that's 7-13 for the Spurs. Here in the third quarter, we close on the 3-minute mark. Padgett guarding Horry. And Ginobili rocks back and misses the shot over Jefferson, but Horry with the ball in the corner.
Rarely will you see a shot attempt by Robert Horry like that. They had a new shot clock. Again, Carter, all he can do is drive into a collapsing defense and set up guys who haven't been able to shoot.
Horry passes on that one. Parker. Finley against Carter, and a foul on Vince Carter, his first.
Fouls on number 15, Vince Carter, his first.
San Antonio's field goal percentage starting to creep up once again. They were down. They were down to 39% in the first half. But this is a team, San Antonio, that not only leads the NBA in field goal percentage, but in opponent's field goal percentage has not been done since the early 1980s by that great Philadelphia team.
Finley on the miss. Ginobili off the cut and feed from Muhammad, and a foul will put Ginobili on the free throw line.
As Tim Duncan sits it out and tries to catch his wind, playing with a bad case of the flu here. Tim did not work out at all the last few days. Did shoot around a little bit, but no contact this morning at the team's early morning shoot-around.
So if you shoot it better than anybody else, and you defend it better than anybody else, what's left?
The championship.
There you go.
Which they already are. And they're a better team this year. The addition of Finley, the addition of Van Exel, the maturation of Nazir Muhammad, the explosion of Tony Parker. The only thing that hasn't been great this year has been this guy, Manu Ginobili.
And then because of injuries,
absolutely.
Tonight he's been pretty good.
But let's go back to games 1 and 2 of last year's NBA Finals when he was the greatest player in the world.
He was the best player on the floor in the last couple of games, even though Detroit got that victory in Game 6 to force a Game 7. Jefferson was 7 to shoot. Richard Jefferson felt contact, and he was trying to shake off the defender. He gets the call here. It's on Finley. 2 fouls on Finley.
Here in the third, Jim, we're witnessing the difference between these two teams. In that San Antonio, they can get what they want. They're better at executing their back cuts, their screens away from the ball, and they're able to deliver the ball on the mark for guys who are moving to finish. New Jersey, all those backdoor passes that they try, that ball gets just tipped away by the superior Spur defense.
Jefferson now in double figures. A little over 2 minutes for the third. That's 11 points for Jefferson. And he keeps the Nets within 4.
But the low-scoring team, San Antonio has not lost a game this year where they've held their opponents under 82 points. Turnover by the NBA champion Spurs. Tony Parker just took his eye off the ball.
Parker was cutting on through to the basket. Ginobili threw it behind him.
While the rule is that it's always the passer's fault, you've got to keep your eye on the ball.
Muhammad and Ginobili greeting Carter at the hoop. And fans wanted to walk on Nazir Muhammad.
Poor spacing. Jason Kidd, brilliant defense. Should have been a result of a turnover right there.
Parker gets through, sets up Ginobili on a 3-ball. He got some rim on that one.
That was the same spot that Steve Kerr won the championship a couple years ago right here.
3-point field goal shooting tonight. Not good either way. Mark Jackson. The Spurs get the stop. And now if they score, they'll have their biggest lead of the game. And less than a minute for the third.
How much fun is it to play basketball? Really any sport when you're the fastest guy out there, like Tony Parker. You're just tooling these guys.
Muhammad's pass deflected. Ginobili with a hand on it. Finley can't save. Out of bounds to the Nets. Good hustle by Mike Finley.
And 2-for-1 time here for New Jersey. Give this crowd, which is just inching forward, just waiting for that moment to just explode. They have come to celebrate and party this great home court winning streak that New Jersey has built here.
And the crowd of over 19,000 looking on as Jefferson gets the first shot up in a 2-for-1 situation.
Finley's defense.
That's 7 misses in a row for New Jersey.
And they've got Jason Kidd on the bench.
The Nets can take a foul with 10 on the shot clock. Parker. There it is. Jacques Vaughn picking up the personal.
Number 11, Jacques Vaughn, his team's first within the final 2 minutes of the quarter.
That doesn't really do them any good. They fouled too early, and now they get a full shot clock back.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was the right place to use the foul to get.
You might be right because the Spurs now can have the final say. Parker slips through the defense. Ooh, he got stepped on by Carter accidentally.
And Tony's holding his knee. Vince is holding his ankle. This is not good. 2 All-Stars here.
Jackson. His first.
But both appear to be okay.
Congratulations to Vince Carter on making his 7th All-Star game. Normally he's a starter. But things are different now with LeBron James, Allen Iverson, of course, always a starter.
Tony Parker on the free throw line for the first time tonight. 12 points scored. Only Ginobili has shot free throws for San Antonio in this game. And that's the first miss on the 5th attempt.
Remember what happened at the Spurs opening day luncheon this year, way back in October. when Greg Popovich introduced new assistant coach Chip England and said, guys, this is our new shooting coach, and from now on, all missed free throws are Chip England's responsibility. That speech made by Greg Popovich in front of 3,000 raucous Spur fans. Last shot time here for Vince Carter.
2 seconds for Carter. He gets it away in time. Unable to connect over Ginobili. So the champs finish out the quarter, scoring 7 of the last 9.
Vince Carter trying to settle things down here, but Bruce Bowen too tough with the left hand down the lane. Jason Kidd trying to get everybody involved, but it was Tim Duncan who made it all happen. The Spurs by 7. Lawrence Frank got his work cut out for him.
Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks have arrived in Denver to take on the Nuggets. Those of you in our ESPN Deportes audience will be enjoying that as a second game. Doubleheader here on NBA Friday. Getting ready to start the fourth quarter in New Jersey. The Nets down by 7 at the hands of the Spurs in what has really settled into a defensive-oriented struggle. Spurs shooting just under 42%. Nets just under 39%. Leading scorer in the game, Manu Ginobili with 21 points and 7 of 12 shooting. He's hit 3 3-pointers. Let's get back out to Jim Durham and Bill Walton at Continental Airlines Arena.
Well, I know Aaron, Paul, and Portia back home are anxiously awaiting that return to health.
Richard Jefferson with the first attempt in the fourth quarter, and Muhammad rebounds for the Spurs. The Nets, with that 10-point total in the third, equals their lowest for a quarter this year. Nice feed from Ginobili to Muhammad. You got to finish those.
But New Jersey has missed their last 9 shots.
And a lot of it is because the guys out there in the black shirts. Mark Jackson.
Finally, that breaks more than 5.5-minute drought for New Jersey in field goals, and that's the first bench points of the entire evening. Another turnover for the NBA champion San Antonio Spurs. I liked it when Manu had his hair a little bit longer.
Really? How about when Duncan had his hair a little bit
Oh,
longer?
I love that. I like the fros. I remember I used to have a fro. Big red, curls, orange when I was a youngster.
And you wore that bandana?
Oh.
What did Dr. Jack say about that?
Said, get rid of it.
Ginobili the steal. Van Exel. Finley had a notion, pulled back, and the Spurs will run the offense.
Gosh, I hope Van Exel's elbow is going to be okay.
Gets to the loose ball with 7 to shoot.
Gotta go now.
Nazi Muhammad gets it away. Cleared by Robinson.
Push the ball. Jason Kidd gets some wing players. RJ's in there, but Vince Carter getting a well-deserved rest right now.
Robinson sends it to Vaughn. Vaughn out to Kidd. Short on the 3, but Kidd the rebound.
San Antonio's so smart. They guard everybody and leave Jacques Vaughn wide open. There is no team with greater corporate knowledge.
Oh, yeah. How about that? The other high flyer is heard from Richard Jefferson.
Richard has had to pull his way to get his numbers tonight. They have done a nice job, San Antonio, of negating easy opportunities for all of these New Jersey teams.
8 on the shot clock for the Spurs. Duncan against Robinson. And another pass thrown away by San Antonio.
Ginobili's got 3 of them.
And all like that.
Right. The guys who are just not even there. The ball movement along the baseline. Richard Jefferson was the same type of play that he had early on. Amazing that he didn't get to the free throw line there. The body contact low and across the forearm.
The Nets with a 12-game home court winning streak on the line. 9:30 for the fourth, down by 3. That's Jefferson again at the rim. 15 points for Jefferson.
San Antonio's got a 7-game road winning streak of their own, Jim. Come alive a little bit offensively. He only has 8 points, but Jason does have 12 rebounds and 4 assists.
He's guarding Van Exel as Duncan is about to slip the pick. A foul on Mark Jackson. 2 fouls on Mark Jackson.
Another major difference in this game is San Antonio's three-point shooting ability. They're at 31% on the night, on 16 attempts. New Jersey is 1 out of 12 from behind the arc. Yikes.
Manu Ginobili sitting it out right now. Shot clock at 6. 3 minutes into the fourth. And another foul on Jackson guarding Duncan. 3 fouls on Mark Jackson.
But with Manu Ginobili, he was without question one of my favorite players in the league. This is a guy who sees things that few others do. And sometimes he sees things that aren't there. And that's what was happening with those turnovers that he had. 3 just inexplicable errors.
Again, 7 on the shot clock. They find Duncan. Duncan with a big hook, getting the Spurs on the board in the fourth at the 8:47 mark.
The master of consistency, the master of execution. Tim Duncan, that's his first basket in a long time, since midway through the third. Clifford Robinson finally comes alive.
Robinson has 6.
But Tim Duncan, the master in today's modern game of the jump hook. It was invented by Billy McGill, perfected by Hakeem Olajuwon and Kevin McHale. And now, Big Timmy's turn.
3 on the shot clock. Parker missing on the 3, but Duncan keeps it alive for the Spurs. Kidd, a hustle pickup and a foul on Bowen. 3 fouls on Bowen.
Jason Kidd, how fast, how powerful, how imbalanced. He's got 13 rebounds, ties a season high, but everybody's reaching, everybody's leaning. And Jason Kidd on the dead run, the ability to get low. I mean, Bruce Bowen, no stranger to contact, no stranger to getting dirty out there, and Jason Kidd just bulldozed it.
Now Kidd feeds Robinson at the rim, and the Nets have taken the lead.
And it's that same scoring drought that we witnessed for San Antonio in the first half, coming back to haunt them once again in nearly the identical time of the first half.
Duncan finds Van Exel. A big three-point hit by Nick Van Exel.
Another difference between these two top teams. San Antonio has somebody you have to double team down low. New Jersey, not so.
9 lead changes and 7 ties in a hotly contested game between these 2 top clubs as Jacques Vaughn is heard from for the first time tonight.
If Jacques Vaughn could ever get to the point where that was an automatic shot. Right now, they just back off from him.
Less than 7 minutes remaining. Duncan against Robinson, and a foul on Robinson.
Tim doing some dancing with the stars himself out there as he tries to regain his balance.
Foul on Robinson, that's his second.
He's going to the locker room. Check things out. He looks like he'll be right back, though.
Confidently say that because
the way he ran off.
The trainer didn't go with him. Parker.
Hopefully the locker room is open. He's out there pounding on the door. Open up in there.
We get it, okay? We understand. Here's Kidd.
With the New Jersey security guy, you just walk away from him.
Okay. 8 to shoot for Vaughn. Jefferson. That's Carter for 3. And the loose ball rebound to Jefferson. Tipped on Carter.
Finally, the crowd, something to yell about. RJ and Vince coming alive. The long rebound starting to turn and fall in the hands of the home team.
Parker had it knocked away, and then a foul has been called. The foul is on Robinson. The fans are upset because the whistle was late.
On first look, it appeared to be the correct call. Parker down the lane. Clifford Robinson is just irate.
Tony Parker makes the free throw. That's his first of the game. Watch Vince Carter here.
In the previous possession, Richard Jefferson's mid-range jumper just a little bit wide. Vince Carter times it perfectly. You would think that somebody would box out Vince Carter on the offensive glass. You would think that would be part of your game plan.
I'm sure that Pop may suggest.
You know, Dallas is going to play well.
Now they have their rodeo in Fort Worth. Smart thing. See what I'm saying? Off the drive, it's Robinson. Robinson with a foul. Jefferson tried to keep it alive, and Nesterovich clears, so the Nets are held at bay once again.
How will the delay of the game affect the momentum that New Jersey seemed to have playing at home here?
Finley missing the three. Again, the Nets with a chance to tie.
But the momentum killer to the home team, you've got to have your equipment working.
Kidd's pass deflected, but Jefferson gets it anyway. Then throws it away. A pass intended for Kidd.
The Nets are not moving in sync with each other. Ginobili back in, Duncan back in. Pretty good substitutions. And no wonder Greg Popovich is widely considered as the game's greatest coach today.
Duncan tonight has had a subpar game to this point, but he is under the weather. A little over 5 minutes left.
The fact that he's playing at all, is amazing. And what a game they had up at Toronto the other night.
And they won in overtime against the Raptors.
San Antonio in that game, they shot 59%.
I tell you what, that fourth quarter was great. Both teams. That was terrific.
Mike James playing well for Toronto. Sam Mitchell. We can only hope that the general manager change up there for the Raptors will be some positive signs.
Ginobili, who just re-entered the game, will shoot another. Say fans, log on to NBAstore.com, where you can find the best selection of 2006 NBA All-Star gear, T-shirts, caps, basketballs, and more. Get it now at NBAstore.com. Spurs by 3.
Now, this is where they got Vince Carter handling the ball, and now it takes Jason Kidd out of his normal creative role.
Carter.
Not a good possession for the Nets at all.
Tony Parker at the controls for the Spurs.
New Jersey just backing off, packing it in, trying to control that paint.
To do that, you got to control those two guys, Parker and Duncan.
And that's why the penetration is just such a killer, because your big guys have to rotate, and then Duncan has his way on the offensive glass.
Van Exel against Vaughn. Dumps it into Duncan.
What a player.
10 points for Duncan.
And like Kevin McHale, he never brings the ball down. He doesn't need... Like Antonio has been from behind the arc. They're plus 15 as they've got 6 3-pointers made. New Jersey only has 1. Vince Carter trying to enter by himself.
And on the rebound, it is Parker to the loose ball. Vince Carter with 16 points tonight. And 12 at the half.
One of the problems that New Jersey's facing is that they're already over the limit in fouls committed.
And Van Exel had the ball knocked out of bounds, so with 9 to shoot, the Spurs will come in.
San Antonio in this quarter has only been whistled for 1 foul. Well, they can get very aggressive down the stretch here.
Something they're quite accustomed to doing. Ginobili with 6 to shoot. Jefferson won't bite on the fake, and on the rebound, the ball knocked out of bounds behind the backboard, sideline out of bounds for the Spurs.
And they get the full shot clock again. San Antonio, like their arch rival right now, the Detroit Pistons, the smartest teams in basketball. Know how to milk the clock, know how to play every situation, know how to tighten things down when necessary.
They've got the milk pail out right now, my friend. 12 to shoot. Van Exel. Duncan clears it out to Bowen.
Now, milk pail. Tell me.
Well, you said they had to milk the clock.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Now our friends at the rodeo, they understand what I'm talking about. Here goes Parker. Van Exel. Bowen on a three, a killer three by Bruce Bowen.
Nick Van Exel has played beautiful basketball. Limited physically with the bad left elbow, out of the rotation the last 10 days. This is spot duty, but right now he has been indispensable for Greg Popovich.
And the Spurs have equaled their largest lead with an 8-0 run. Jefferson fouled by Ginobili.
His second team foul on the quarter.
Spurs on a nice run over the last 3.5 minutes. They just have the Nets number. And it's only going to take a brilliant performance by Vince Carter, seemingly by himself, to turn that around. But the misses continue to pile up for Vince against the dug-in defense.
San Antonio's 8-point advantage with 2:19 left. The Nets have scored just 13 here in the fourth quarter. Excuse me, they have, as the bank shot is made by Duncan, he puts his autograph on the game.
What they're doing is filling up that net.
2 minutes to go in the quarter.
It's 14 points for the Nets in the quarter. They're down by 10. New Jersey on an 0 for 6. And there you go with a shot by Carter. He got it to drop and drew the foul.
Tim Duncan, one of the great players who has ever put on an NBA jersey. Not sure why he's trying to take a charge here. You're not going to get a charge on Vince Carter. He just has too much lateral mobility. And Tim Duncan can get up in the air, make Vince throw up a wild one, and then just let the other guys clean up the miss on the other side.
So Carter trying to complete a three-point play. 18 points for Carter. He's an 82% free throw shooter. Hasn't been there tonight. 1:47 left. Now it's 76-69, a 7-point advantage for the Spurs. Nets was showing some trap. They back away.
Playing the small lineup right now, Lawrence Frank is realizing he's not getting much from his front court. But can they get the rebound necessary with this small lineup?
Well, San Antonio has matched. They've got Van Exel in there together with Parker. And Bowen delivering again. Bowen has 9, including the last 5. Here goes Carter. Vaughn felt contact.
Wild runner.
Duncan ahead to Parker. He's got Kidd to beat. And a foul on Kidd. Parker will have a chance at a 3-point play.
You're not going to catch Tony Parker from behind. You're not going to catch Tony Parker if you've already got a 5-yard lead on him. He's just too fast. Jason Kidd, a mental mistake right there.
And it's an 11-point lead for the Spurs with 1:09 left, and it looks like win number 8 in a row for San Antonio. And they will, for the moment, pull even with Dallas for the Southwest Division lead, with the Mavericks yet to play on Game 2 of our doubleheader tonight at Denver.
Well, we're going to have to see how Dallas handles success after pounding Pat Riley, Shaquille O'Neal in Miami last night. Now they go up to Denver. Now Denver's been all over the place of late. They still have a tenuous lead in that Northwest Division. Oh, Kristich, nice flush at the end.
17 for Kristich. Timeout taken by
Spurs who are getting the better of it. Here's your leading scorers. Ginobili with 22. Parker's now 19. Tim Duncan's in double figures with a dozen. Vince Carter leads the Nets. Big strong game from the net Kristich. But right now things are not looking too well for the home team as the Spurs looking to win their 5th out of 5 on this 8-game road trip. And their 8th straight overall. 1 minute left to play. Let's get back out to New Jersey.
Front for Lawrence Frank.
Van Exel has it in play to Muhammad. He's fouled immediately. Nazim Muhammad to the free throw line. 76% shooter. Hasn't been there in this game, and that's one of the things about San Antonio, and this has been the case with the Spurs not just this year, but even during their 3 championship runs over the recent seasons, they have not been a good free throw shooting club. Less than 70% as a team.
But most of that is Tim Duncan. And Tim, who once shot 80%
Well, I don't know.
Free throws.
You've got Bowen at 59%.
But Bowen doesn't shoot a lot of free throws.
at 59%.
Those guys don't shoot a lot of free throws.
Tony Parker's less than 70.
Tony's less than 70?
68 coming in.
Wow. See, those are just mental breakdowns and errors. But they're still the champions.
Oh, yeah.
They're the type of team that will go on a monster run all the way down the stretch. And so it's going to be head-to-head with San Antonio and Dallas all the way for at home court.
They've got two games left with one another. Carter connecting, and both of them will be in San Antonio. They played the Dallas portion of their schedule in like 3 weeks apart in the early part of the season, and they split those two. Off the inbounds, knocked out by the Nets. And Spurs will come in.
Jacques Vaughn's going to argue vociferously here. They should just whistle a foul on him because he grabbed the San Antonio Spurs, who are going to take a timeout right here. Jacques Vaughn, the Pasadena Muir High graduate, Kansas University, Roy Williams. What a class act.
50.3 left in the fourth. And San Antonio with a 10-point lead and a mass exodus here at the Continental Airlines Arena. How good have the champs been down the stretch?
Bruce Bowen, the NBA's second-best three-point shooter. Tim Duncan steps to the perimeter.
5 days before they played that game in Toronto the other night. They played 3 games out west, then they were off 5 days, then they played at the Raptors, and now they're playing keep away with the Nets.
They didn't foul Duncan when Duncan had the ball.
Now Parker finding Finley, 10 to shoot, 36 left on the game clock. Finley goes into Muhammad, and they pass loose. Carter trying to save, and does, but Parker picked the pocket of Antoine Wright.
When Vince Carter went for that ball and jumped over the crowd, he told them, watch out, I'm jumping over you. That's how spectacular he is, but he's frustrated throwing the headband there.
The 12-game home court winning streak of the New Jersey Nets is history, and the winning streak of the San Antonio Spurs now hits 8 in a row, and their record is 39-10, and for the moment, the Spurs are tied with the Dallas Mavericks for the top spot in the Southwest Division. It was a gritty-like performance by a team that, well, that's its trademark. San Antonio wins tonight by 10, 83-73. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Bill Walton, I'm Jim Durham saying so long from the Meadowlands. Now, let's join John Saunders in our ESPN studio.